My name's Carla Fowler. I'm the founder and managing director of THAXA Executive Coaching. I run an executive coaching practice that really uses performance science to help CEOs and other high-level leaders kind of level up their results, particularly when just working harder or spending more time on it is not an option. Part of the target audience was definitely towards people who become a potential client. So finding a great coach is actually not as easy as it sounds. I think people have a lot of challenges just knowing who might be good or getting exposed to that. And so I think people who are interested in that are often listening to podcasts that have advice or things to help them improve their businesses or their results. And so that was one piece of target audience. The other piece was that part of the point of being a guest on a podcast for me was to start spreading my ideas more broadly, because I will work with people in depth one-on-one, and that's a certain kind of benefit that I can bring. But I think there's a lot of value to sharing some of these techniques, these perspectives, and even just philosophies of performance science that people who will never work with me could benefit from it. And I want that to happen. So that part of that audience is just saying who are hosts who are interested in tackling these questions of life and work, how to kind of level up your game, and who have audience who's also interested in that. So I had a number of different goals. One was to increase, number of leads coming in, but I would say a number of my goals actually are separate from that. That's always a great benefit, but in coming into podcasting, I also wanted to understand and sort of process what are the ideas I'm sharing, how did they land? When you have to talk with someone, when you explain it to them, and particularly when you aren't using necessarily like a particular coaching situation, it really helps you refine how you can talk about things clearly, what really lands, what's really exciting to people that maybe you didn't know was like the big idea. And part of that was to prepare for public speaking in the future. So both clarifying the ideas, but also clarifying the practice of talking about them. And then I think another goal was really to just, again, share those ideas, have an impact much more broadly than I can have just one coaching relationship at a time. I actually like having both some very deep impact when you can work personally with someone one-on-one, but I also really like the idea, this is from The Secrets of Consulting, but the author talks about spreading the raspberry jam. You have a certain amount of raspberry jam. You can spread it thin, or you can put it all in one bite. And I say, well, let's do a little bit of really in-depth coaching. Let's also get those ideas out there and share them. Absolutely. It has been a whirlwind 6 months. I think I've definitely done over 30 podcasts, and that was partly by my choice and my goal. I am a person who likes to, when I'm doing something new, dig in, really give myself enough reps to learn it, feel confident with it. And one of the things I really liked was I felt like when I started with Interview Valet, we talked about what would be a good rhythm, or how many interviews, but they as a firm, you guys were really able to ramp with what I wanted to do and give me that pace. And so that has been really wonderful. That included, I was able to onboard very quickly, and the process of onboarding was like, it was organized and well laid out, but also just went kind of right on through it. And I really appreciated that structure and that ability to, from the time I had my first phone call to getting a podcast interview, I think it was like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks tops, but I had not anticipated I would be able to get going so quickly. So that's kind of my first thing that I really loved about working with Interview Valet. Then I think the other thing that's really wonderful is just the depth of the database and the relationships that you have. So it's really not about the database, but about the relationships that represents. And so just the wide variety of podcasts that when I think about the amount of work it would have taken to pitch myself and even try and learn how to do that process, it just represents a major time savings for me. And I feel like I get the cream of the experience. So I get the joy and the value of being on the podcast, meeting the hosts, being set up very well with the host to start, in the sense of the interactions that happen behind the scenes, and the relationships that are really positive mean that when I show up, even though they haven't met me, I feel like I am very well received, and the hosts are ready to go, up to speed, and know something about me. And so that piece is another piece that I loved, was just being able to say, okay, I can add this whole new piece to my practice, and I don't have to do it myself. I can do what I am good at and focus on that, and really let you guys be the experts, and really navigate those relationships. I think a third piece that has been, I've touched on the fact that as a firm, Interview Valet is highly organized and communicative, and I just really appreciate that style. But I think another thing is that in the onboarding, you set people up well in terms of knowing what are the expectations, what are the goals, what are you hoping to get out of it. And I think that is part of what makes you like a podcast marketing firm versus a podcast booker. And I think sometimes people do that thinking for themselves and they come in with those goals. Sometimes not, but you really set people up for success by asking some of those questions right off the bat. And then I think the final thing is you have so many resources for how to do podcasting well, like how to be a great guest. It's different than a lecture. It's different than a speech. And it's really a conversation. And from everything from how to say thank you, how to promote something, I feel like I got a lot of great information and then access to a number of resources to just help me understand how to do my part well. So I think those are my initial thoughts.